citizens of Chernarus. My name is Mobster Lobster. Sorry, President Mobster Lobster. We are live from Radio Zenit as always, and if you miss this broadcast, it will be put on air very shortly after this broadcast. My fellow citizens of Chernarus, I'm elated, personally. I do apologize that I was not able to give out a broadcast in the past. God, 6 days. It's been 6 days, and I do apologize for that wait. That is on me. But this Tuesday, yesterday, I was smacked in the face with the news right after work from the Nick himself of the high government, and he added me in Campfire. I was like, "Oh, by the way, Mobster, you are president now." So that came to me as a shock because I lost that election pretty handily, and then I got elected as VP by former President Dave, and then he, due to real life circumstances and not because of his inability to govern, but because of his IRL circumstances, he was working a new job, and he just doesn't have the time for the politics of the country, which is understandable. So he gave the position to me. And quite a position it has been so far, ladies and gentlemen. Already, I have put out several addresses to the nation. I have started the election of senators. I have formed legislation to be pushed immediately. And I have one of my dear friends and commander of Blackout PMC, Ix Plague, working on our fair Senate and Court chamber building. And I've seen the progress of it already, and it looks fantastic. I can't wait to open it to the public so everybody can see it. It's going to be so good, so grand, wonderful. Speaking of my presidency so far, again, this is my last call to the citizens to DM me personally about interest in running for senator, because the election will be tomorrow. Being a judge, or being district attorney. If you are wanting to be district attorney, though, make sure you have former MP experience. That's written in the Constitution that you need former MP experience. So, what am I doing behind the scenes? Other than what I just showed you, I'm getting everything organized, basically. I'm working with the high government to make sure that once the senators are elected, we can immediately start pushing through legislation and pushing bills and passing laws that will be enforced and will be strong laws that will be upheld by the very just, very noble Chernarus Armed Forces. I'm very excited for it. Very excited. Everything has been so far going very smoothly. And again, I feel like a broken record personally, but I can't overstate how excited I am and how hopeful I am for the future of our country. Regardless of how you feel about me. I know a couple people who really have strong feelings about me being president, and very confused about Dave handing over the presidency to his once opponent. But speaking of Dave, to all my supporters who don't like Dave. Personally, I don't think he's a politician. Personally. He's a man of the people. He's a senatus, or what's that emperor's name? I forget. But he doesn't want to rule. I don't think, personally. That's not his position. However, he gave the general public a very, very good idea of what a moral Chernarran citizen looks like. I'll say that again. He gave us a model of Chernarran charity that cannot be overstated. Cannot be overstated. I personally have a very different way of running things because I am, as some of you may know, a very high value target for people who would like to me in the street by a sniper shot, in my own home. But that's neither here nor there. So I like to distance myself from the public unless, I'm going out and about and greeting people. Dave was in the roots. He was in the weeds. Even though he was killed multiple times for being elected by my supporters, which, if you did that on my behalf, I detest you. You are not one of my supporters if you did that to Dave. However, he was in the roots. He was building up towns, especially in Olsha, his hometown. He was building up the walls. He was giving out food to the people in Starry, and in Safe Zone and dealership, and working with the MP to create a stronger Chernarus, even though it wasn't very legal, political, or anything policy-wise. I'll say this again. I love Dave. Alright, I love Dave. Once I got to know the guy, and I didn't, all the accusations of him being a cartel puppet or being on the payroll of somebody else, that was all just lies. And I do apologize for putting out those campaign ads during the election. However, A, that's just kind of politics, and B, I rescind those statements. However, Dave has given all of us, and including me, a very good model of how we should conduct ourselves. And first and foremost, that's my philosophy with government, right? I take a very Aristotelian and classical sense of what a polis, a city-state, ought to be. And that is a government before welfare, before universal health care, or taxes, or war, or armies, or laws, or legislation, or even politics. It all comes down to this. The leaders of any given country, of any given city, should be the best in terms of virtue. They should provide a model of how citizens should act. The government is to be the model of virtue and courage among the people. I think, that's what my belief is in government's role. And even though I don't think Dave is a very good politician, he's a very good man. And in terms of being our first president in the new and improved republic, I don't think we could have asked for a better one in that department. While Dave gave us a model of charity and of virtue and of courage, even though he was being targeted, I wish to give the people an example of action, of strong governance. That's what I want, personally. And that's what I think the country needs. Ultimately, the government needs to be strong here. Because we are in the apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen. There are zombies, there are infected everywhere. And it's not going to go away anytime soon. It's definitely not going to go away with all the pox floating around. It just saddens me. It just saddens me to see the state of our country. Not just in the infected, but in the crime, the murder, the disorder, the chaos. It's one thing I hope the Senate can fix, and one thing I will try to spearhead is rule of law. I've made this very clear to all of the senators that have talked to me, and that I have talked to, and that I have, I've given them all a form of who are they, where do they come from, what do you want to do, what legislation do you want, etc., etc. And so far, all of them have recognized that the biggest issue is that there needs to be a court system with real, tangible penalties, and there needs to be structure, right? That's what I intend to do, and that's what I intend to enforce, structure. Now, some of you may hear that, and hear, I want tyranny, right? Ultimately, no. Because tyranny is impractical. Especially with the environment that I have now. If I tried to control anybody forcefully now with the MP or even mercenaries, nobody would listen, and I would be instantly deposed. And the Senate still have the power to rule a vote of no confidence and impeach me and kick me out. and start a new election cycle. But man, in this world where you can't even step in Cabanino without A, being stopped by cartel, or B, getting bitten by an infected, you need strong government. You need that rock and that legal foundation. Humans are inherently political animals. That's why we form factions. That's why the army exists. That's why I'm president. Right? Because we are inherently political animals. And when we see disorder, we choose to voluntarily give up a little bit of liberty for safety under a government. That's the Lockean viewpoint. That was a 16th century economist and political philosopher. And man, he was right about a lot of things. And I think it's very interesting how his point of views shape mine and also are very reflective of what's going on in the country in terms of how we're forming the government. In terms of the things I want to do, right? And again, I don't want everything to be about politics and everything like that, but what I intend to do is first push a bill stating that we need to clarify the Constitution, not rewrite it, because I do think that the high government, led by Nick, has done a very good job of pouring blood, sweat, and tears into creating a Constitution. However, that Constitution conflates with the other PDF that they created called Government Rules, and I want to throw out Government Rules and have the Constitution being the only bedrock and framework for the government. There's going to be a preamble, more clarified amendments, articles, so that there is no confusion, because it's so vague right now, and it just provides like the smallest framework, which is appreciated, and it's very nice that we can't just throw it out unless, everybody in the government votes to throw out the Constitution, which I don't think would ever happen. But no, we are going to get this Constitution rewritten and rearticulated so that even the layman, the yeoman of the land, can understand the document. But yeah. And then, of course, pushing legislation that says, hey, the cartel is a terrorist faction, and the CAF need to push every single resource it has to prosecuting and arresting the cartel. In terms of what I want to do, personally, that I don't need the approval of Senate to do, is this. I want to compose a national anthem and make it national, right? I am personally starting the process of creation of a... Did my recording just pause for a second? I think it might have. Sorry, my recording machine on the side just kind of stopped for a second. Anyways, sorry. Where was that? Oh, yes. I'm going to construct a grand coliseum where we can host derbies, demolition derbies, games. Imagine if we had archery competitions or eating competitions or general sports things that we can do. Javelins that we can throw and everything like that. That would be so cool. And it would be great to have some national unity again, right? I remember way back when I was president, that Bruise Knuckle hosted a derby at the dealer. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had in the server, being quite frankly. Next to the election that I had against Big Worm. The most fun I've ever had on the server. But yeah, and then of course, the news, happenings of the Survivor newspaper, and this radio show, which while I can't do every day as I hoped, again because I have various presidential and IRL responsibilities I need to tend to during this time, still I want to push for national unity and doing these radio shows when I can. And normally I'm going to try to dedicate the first segment, if I don't have a guest, to everything going on in the government, and then the second half after the intermission break, just kind of like, you know, a rant like I did last time about AI. You know, that's kind of, I don't know, dude. But yeah, that's what I want to do. Speaking of a break, however, we are going to move to break because my voice is getting very dry and I need a sip of water. And we are around the halfway mark of 15 minutes. Anyways, I'll see you after the break. That's the intro song. Nope. My bad. Welcome back, everybody. After that short intermission, my name is Monster Lobster, your host, and we are back on the air from Radio Zenit. Sorry about that. By the way, reminder, if you own a business and you want it advertised, DM me and pay a small fee of like $15,000 and uh, I will get you advertised in that business in that short intermission session. Anyways, you know what I would want to see in the server? Acting, plays. Now, I don't know how we would do it. Like live stage theater, I mean, you know? Like imagine, right? The staff code's in a theater. The high government code's in a theater. You have actors, and you can just go to the theater, right? Sit down. You can get some snacks, some popcorn, whatever, right? And then just watch a play. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine seeing like Shakespeare being performed in SOC. I think that would be great. Don't know how it would do it. Don't even know if it's possible. Don't even know if it would be any good. But I think it would be so cool to do. I say this because I love theater. I love acting. I love movies. I'm making a movie right now. I'm writing a movie right now. It's called Venality. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. The screenplay isn't done yet. However, I love movies. Last night I watched Godfather 1 and 2, and a short rant about Godfather 1 and 2. They are the greatest movies of all time, uncontested. Um, you know, it's very hard to think of a movie that even comes close. Maybe The Good and the Bad, the Ugly. I'm trying to think. Maybe There Will Be Blood. Um, Definitely like 2001 Space Odyssey is up there. But no, I think Godfather 1 and 2 are the very best that cinema has to offer. They're not my favorite, right? They're not my favorite. My favorite movie right now has to be Amadeus, which is a sort of semi-historical account of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's life and his rivalry with Antonio Salieri. And it's a very fun watch, like 3 hours long, but it just whizzes by. Um, but no, I love movies, and The Godfather 1 and 2, it's just... Okay, Godfather 1, if you haven't seen it, I implore you, shut off your radio, shut off your game, and go watch it. Right? Steal Mommy's credit card, just watch it. Sit down for like a good 3 hours, watch the first one, sit with it, wait for a day, watch the second one. I guarantee you, you won't regret it. Anyways, The Godfather centers around the Corleone crime family and the boss, Vito Corleone, was played by Marlon Brando. And I almost don't even want to explain it. Alright, so the story starts with the wedding of his daughter Connie, right? Connie's wedding. And you got the Italian music playing, and then it's the juxtaposition between the happy celebration of new life, and it's contrasted with Don Corleone telling his men to go beat up somebody who raped one of his friend's daughters. Very good opening scene just off the rip. Vito Corleone, such a good character. He is very quiet, very reserved, and I think my damn recording cut out again. Apologies. He is very quiet, very reserved, very stoic. He does not show anger. He only has an outburst once in both movies. He only has an outburst once, and that's when he's yelling at his godson Johnny, who's a big Hollywood star. He's like, "You can act like a man," because Johnny is like complaining, "Oh, I'm not getting this role and everything," and but no, very quiet, very reserved, but he's also a very loving and compassionate man. He's an intimidating presence, almost a regal figure of manners and etiquette, and it's just, it's so good. Anyways, he gets invited to a business meeting with a guy named Sollozzo, who is a Turk, and he's trying to invite Corleone into the narcotics. If you don't know about the mafia, especially the Italian mafia, they're supposed to stay away from drugs. The movie takes place after World War II in 1947, and at the time, the mafia was like very big no-no on drugs. So Corleone refuses. Sollozzo doesn't like that. So he gets the backing of another family called the Tattaglia's, and their whole thing is trying to get Corleone to ascribe to this deal. Um, Corleone knows that they're going to try to muscle him, so he sends one of his soldiers named Luca Brasi to go meet with Sollozzo to try to, mull his way in to see what Sollozzo wants, see what Sollozzo knows. Sollozzo has Luca Brasi killed right in front of him and sends a message to Don Corleone that Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes by setting them like a literal two things of fish, right? Anyways. So this starts a war, or a conflict, as they call it, and there's back and forth, and it ultimately ends up with Vito Corleone getting shot, and then, because he can't be in good health anymore, he survived the initial shot, getting shot in the street. His youngest son, Michael Corleone, just came back from the war hero, doesn't want in on the family business. He's forced into the position of the boss, right? Um, After his oldest brother, Sonny, is killed because of Connie's husband ratting Sonny out to the Barzini crime family, and they kill him, and it starts the war even more. And then Michael Corleone kills all the other heads of the families at the end of the movie, and it's just, I'm doing such a disservice explaining to it. I am mansplaining the movie so hard. I am doing a disservice by explaining in this way because I'm missing some things, and just saying it out loud, I know I'm missing some things because it's a movie you can't really explain the story of. You have to watch it, right? At first, you won't get it. I had to watch it. The fourth time I watched it, it clicked with me, right? And it clicked with me why the movie was so good. Um, First off, great music, great score, right? That's almost required. Iconic score, iconic music, very good, very indicative of what the story weighs. Second, very good dialogue, very good characters. Michael Corleone and Vito Corleone are treats to watch. Michael Corleone being played by Al Pacino, and Vito Corleone being played by Marlon Brando. Very good actors, like some of the best, and they are just a treat to watch. Second, cinematography, third, cinematography. Very good as well. Um, some of the most beautiful shots I've seen in the movie, especially towards the end. There's a scene where Michael Corleone is getting Connie's son, his sister, her son, getting baptized and being the godfather to Connie's son, being symbolic of him becoming the new Don of the family and the new godfather. And at the same time, he ordered all of his men to kill all the other heads of the other families in New York. And when I watched it at first, I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite understand. But recently, I watched the movie in orchestra. I watched it January 2nd with my father. I went to Bradley Orchestra in Milwaukee, and just that scene alone made me so overwhelmed with the artistry and the acting and the music and the symbolism that was going on. It just weighed on my soul like an elephant underwater pressing down on you, or even the Ocean Gate submarine crushing in on you. It was a sublime, heavenly experience that I don't think I will ever have watching a movie. And I cried. I didn't bawl. I'm not that weak. But I cried. And I'm not ashamed of it. And it's just, man, if you haven't seen that movie, watch it. Please. But it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, mind you. Again, that goes to Amadeus, but my second favorite is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. With Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. man, that's also just a damn good movie in general. Damn good story, really good score, iconic characters, just the works. I wish this radio show is very off rip, very improv, so I don't really have a framework or sort of a script when I go into these things, and I don't know if you can tell. Um, Except when I talk about government and politics, I normally have something more prepared because I want things to be clear. But in the second half of the show, when I am ranting to you like a madman, I'm not really getting my points across very clearly, I don't think. However, I hope you see my love for this, right? And even before politics and gaming and all that, I want to make movies and I want to be an actor. And these are the movies that I am modeling off of, right? Especially while writing my own movie. That's what I'm writing off of. I don't know. My voice is getting very dry, very parched, and we are about out of time. Sadly, it is as always. It has been a pleasure being your radio host out of Zenit, live from Zenit. Very shortly, I will be uploading the full clip of this so that, in case you missed it, my ramblings of a madman, you can listen to it for your pleasure if you like hurting your ears, I guess. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting me and who are hopeful in the new administration coming forward. And if you have not run for senator yet, I would encourage you to DM me about it. Alright? Anyways, I have been your host of Happenings with the Survivor, Mobster Lobster, and we are tuning out. Thank you.